And so this week, I've spent some time, because I've been as I've been going through this week, and I've been thinking over last year, and I've been thinking this week about, what some people are going through in the church. And I've been talking about knowing God, knowing Him. Do we know Him in the midst of our pain? Because that's whenever it really counts. That's whenever it really, really matters. Because it's easy to say, yeah, we know Him whenever everything's going brilliant. But do we know Him in the midst of our pain? In the midst of our suffering, in the midst of our trials, in the midst of the messes that we go through? And so I've been toying this week with the ideas. I've been thinking about my friend and about his family as they are burying his sister. And about the stuff that people were going through this week. And then met with Boneyard on Thursday, I think it was, Wednesday or Thursday, and he started to say about stuff that people were going through. Then he mentioned about Tommy Roundtree and his grandson being taken into hospital and talking about the situation there. And his grandson has now passed away over the weekend. Hacksaw in hospital, Rand Smith in hospital. So many other people with so many issues. John Cartmilly sent me a message about a friend of his with cancer, and he's only 36, and John's mother dealing with same issues. John going through so much stuff. On John's wedding day, his father passed away that morning. So John has had to be dealing with. And yet he's here today. Because as we ask the question, where is God? And as we talk about knowing Him in the midst of our pain and of our suffering, I want to challenge us with our response to what we go through and what we deal with. What I find in my years in church is that a lot of people get saved because of a trial that they're going through in life. Something comes against people in life, and it's like, I don't know how to deal with this, and they end up in church and they become a Christian because of what they're having to deal with in life, and they realize, I can't deal with this, but I know that God can help me in this, and they become a Christian as a result of the trials that they have to go through in life, that they know, I can't do anything about this, but I know someone who maybe can help me. But then on the flip side of that, you know what else I've realized? Is that people backslide because they're going through trials in life. People walk away from God because of what they're experiencing in life. Things that they go through that, okay, you shouldn't be dealing with that. You shouldn't have to go through that, but we're going through it. So what's our response going to be to the trials, to the tribulations, to the pain, to the suffering? What are we going to do? Stop taking my sermons on me. Just sit down now. You see, often we can't do anything about the things that happen to us, but we can do something about our response. There are things that will happen to us that will be out of our control, but what is very much within our control is how we respond to that which is attacking us. So how are we going to respond? Who are we going to call out to, Sylvia? Amen, sister. Let's just get one thing out of the way. Let's just get one thing straight, okay? And it's biblical. John chapter 16. Jesus is talking to his disciples. Both of these that I'm about to share with you. This is Jesus talking to his disciples. I've told you these things so that in me you will have peace. In this world you will have trouble. In this world you will have trials. In this world you will have tribulation. In this world you will have pain and you will have suffering. That's the words of Jesus. That's not my words. I'm quoting Jesus. Oh, but we're Christians. We don't go through stuff. If we're going through stuff like that, I'm trying to put on my Andrew Willis bit. It's not working. Oh, we're Christians. We don't go through trials and, we've got God on our side. It's Jesus. In this world, you will have pain, you will have suffering, you will have trials, and you will have tribulation. Let's just get that on the table right now. Do not think for 1 second that just because you're a Christian that you're going to be void of any trials and pain and suffering in this world. In fact, if anything, the opposite is true. Whenever you become a Christian, expect it to get worse. Jesus, when he's talking to Simon Peter, in Luke chapter 22, he says, Satan has asked to sift you all as wheat. He's asking to sift you. He's asking to put you through trials and tribulations. And Jesus' response is, I've prayed for you. You ever get that there, whenever you're looking, you really need to talk to someone and you really need help. And it's like, I need to talk to you. This is what I'm going through. This is happening. That's just, I'll pray for you. I don't want you to pray for me. I want you to fix it. I want you to sort it. I'll pray for you, brother. No, fix it. This is what Jesus is saying. Jesus, the Son of God, could have said, no, hands off. He doesn't do that. He's saying, I've prayed for you, Simon. Prayed for you all. I've prayed that your faith may not fail. Prayed that your faith may not fail. You're going to go through it, but I'm praying that your faith will not fail. James chapter 1. I hate this. James chapter 1. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, if you go through trial, what's it say? Whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work in you so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking in anything. Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. No, I don't want to. I don't want to consider that joy. It's painful and it hurts. James says, let it have its work in you, because it's producing perseverance in you. And actually what that leads to, what James says that leads to, is maturity. You see, sometimes we think, oh, well, I see people and they're up at the front and they got the hands raised and, oh, they must be mature Christians. They get up and they be praying in front of people and they be worshiping. They must be mature Christians. And that's not the mark of a mature Christian. You think just because somebody's on a platform preaching, leading worship, playing in a worship team, praying in public, that's a mature Christian? No. The mark of a mature Christian is someone who has been through hell and has kept on walking, and maturity comes through that refiner's fire. Paul says in Romans, we glory in our sufferings. I still got to do that. Yes, this is awesome. This is brilliant, and being broken in pieces and being messed about and being stamped on. I love it. Maybe one day I'll get there. Paul, whenever he's talking to the Romans, he says that, again, he talks about the suffering produces perseverance, and the perseverance, character, and the character, hope. I'm not here to talk to you about why you have been through what you have been through. That's not the purpose of the day, because I got to have every single person in here who has gone through hell, and for every single person there's been a different reason, because God's doing something specific in your life. But what I can say is that through it all, if you keep on walking and you go through it and you respond in the right way, which is what I'm talking about today, then God will bring you maturity. He is looking for faithfulness. Lamentations, Jeremiah writes the book of Lamentations. It's believed that he wrote it anyway. And Jeremiah is faced with the desolation of his nation and the of the holy city, Jerusalem. Jeremiah he witnesses the Babylonians coming in and destroying the city, slaughtering people in the streets, he talks about this city that was once an amazing, beautiful, incredible city. And it's now a complete and total mess. It's desolate. There are people lying dead on the streets. They've been slaughtered. Maybe that's been your life. At one time you looked at your life and your life was, yeah, this is good. But now you look at your life and it's desolate, it's a mess, it's fallen apart. What is your response going to be? Jeremiah in Lamentations chapter 3, he writes these words. He says, I called on your name, Lord. I called on your name from the depths of the pit, from the lowest pit. I called on your name from the depths of the pit. You heard my plea. Do not close your ears to my cry for relief. You came near when I called you, and you said, do not fear. I called from the depths of the pit, from the depths of my despair, from my lowest point, from the lowest part of the pit. I called, and you heard. Not only did you hear, but you answered. You said, do not fear. Do not fear. The psalmist often called out to God. Psalm 18, in my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried to my God for help. He heard my voice. He heard my voice. Psalm 120, in my trouble, I cried to the Lord and he answered me. And maybe you're in this place today. And you've been saying, yes, Johnny, I've been calling. I don't think he's hearing. I want to tell you today, God is hearing. My God is a hearing God. My God is a listening God. And my God answers. And he will answer. He will not answer in the way that you want. You've got your answer all figured out. This is how God's going to. Do you ever do that? I sit and I play through my mind, whenever I'm going through some stuff. Okay, God, this is how it's going to go down. This is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to do. And I don't know, maybe you've got images of the prophet comes into church one Sunday and he's going to point me out and he's going to bring me up to the front and he's going to speak into my life and he's going to deliver me of what I'm going through. You played that through in your mind. You play through. This is how deliverance is going to come. God will not answer you in the way that you expect, in the way that you want, in the way that you have planned. It's his plans, and we'll come to that as we come to a close. But he hears and he answers. Isaiah 41, I am the Lord your God who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear. I will help you. Do not fear, church. He will help you. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But his answer today is, don't fear. Don't fear. I'll help you. Who should be the one that we call out to? Or what? You see, what I've discovered is that whenever we go through stuff, that we seek solace in something other than God. Even Christians can seek solace in something. How many people seek solace in a bottle of wine? Yes, wine, Sylvia. I'm glad you don't know that. It's like, oh, God, oh no, here we go again. Oh, I can't deal with this right now. I'm talking about Christians. Listen, my voice hopefully is not a voice of condemnation. This is not the purpose of this. I'm not here to condemn you. But hopefully the Holy Spirit will bring conviction today. You know what? I just need just a wee glass of red tonight. I'll just sit, I'll just relax. All I need is just a wee glass of red and I'll be okay. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not a Christian, and In fact, this can even be Christians. I know it's prescribed, but it's prescribed to someone else, but it's okay because it's prescription. If I can just get a wee prescription from someone else, I'll go down to my wee friend round the corner, and I know that she has stuff, and that's okay. And maybe we're here, maybe we're not a Christian, maybe we are a Christian, but it's like, maybe if I can get my hands on some powder, then, because I can't deal with this. This is too much. So I'll just, if I can get this into me, or if I can take this, or if I can take this, then it's going to be okay. What is our response going to be? Who are we going to call on? See, you think it's all just about alcohol and drugs. Now we've hit a nerve. It's like the whole six-pack goes in the space of 30 minutes. And this six-pack goes with it. But we sit and we binge. It's comfort food. We think it's okay, but, well, it's not alcohol and it's not drugs. It's Titty Crisps. It's okay. Crunchies. Sylvia, and I'm Mars Bars. And really what we're saying is, God, you're not enough. This will comfort me. I'll sit and I'll just watch movies tonight and I'll binge on food. I'll get a Chinese and I'll maybe have some wine with my Chinese and I'll binge on this after the Chinese. Who do we run to? Who do we communicate with? Maybe it's Facebook, because someone does something on us, so I want to post something about that. And you get something prepared. You get your statement prepared. And it starts with some people. Some people need to. Or I will. And then we post it up. That's that dealt with. That's that situation resolved. Thank goodness I posted that because now that's dealt with. That's gone. I've said my piece. It's dealt with. How good am I? And then the next thing you get all these comments underneath in support of your statement. And then you feel justified in your statement. I believe that God should always... these are going back, so they are, by the way. This is just flour, so, I've seen some people's eyes light up. Oh, what's he going to do with that whenever he's finished with it? It's just flour, and these are just hay fever tablets, so just relax yourselves. This is actually real. Deal with that later. No, it's just apple juice. I believe that God should be our go-to guy. First and foremost and last. The only person that we need to run to is God. No one else but Jesus. You see, it's dead easy to stand in here and to sing the songs, Only Jesus, about running to Jesus, about Him being the answer, about it just being Jesus and no one else. It's dead easy to do that. But whenever it comes to life, maybe that's a different story. One of the keys, I believe, we talked about the presence of God. We sang about the presence of God today. I think one of the first songs. And in order to get into the presence of God, one of the key ingredients to entering into the presence of God is worship. Is worship. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it until you get it, that we have an opportunity. I said to Matt last week, Fireland was phenomenal last week. Fireland was brilliant last week. I got these guys, these friends in America, and they've got a church in Washington, and they're connected with Hillsong. And last Sunday they had JD from Hillsong United, the guy with the long black hair. And he was there. He was at their church speaking and stuff like that there. It says to Matt last week, I wouldn't have swapped having JD for having Matt Crawford leading worship last Sunday night. And we have an opportunity to worship, to get into his presence through worship. The Bible says we enter his gates with thanksgiving. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Joanne put a post up, hope you don't mind me saying this, Joanne, about coming up last week. She talked about coming up and getting prayed for and always looking for prayer. But she said about how last week, she said, I just wanted to give thanks. I just wanted to thank God for everything that he'd done for me. And she said, I felt such a release. So she said, than going up and getting prayed for, just to say thank you and to be thankful and to live a thankful life. She said there was this release and his blessing. We enter his gates, his presence with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. Praise and worship are so key. And it's the importance of the presence of God. Is that whenever we come against, or whenever all this stuff comes against us, then running to all these things is not going to help that case, is not going to help that situation, is not going to resolve anything. But God is saying, hey, will you run to me? Will you call on me? Or are you going to look to be dependent on these other things? I am your great Redeemer. I am your reward. I am your deliverer. I will do it. I will come. So worship is so crucial. We need to turn to him. He is bigger than our problems. I'm about to finish. Worship team can come. And so it's about whatever we're going through, how will we respond? Where is God? I want to tell you that he's with you. That he's with you. To call on him. He says, I will take you by the right hand. I will say, do not fear. He is with you. He will lead you and he will guide you if you will choose to follow. So he's the one we call out to. And I believe that worship is significant in taking the right steps to deliverance, in taking the right steps to dealing with the issues and the problems that are coming against us. A number of years ago, I was seriously struggling, not so much maybe in my Christianity, although maybe a little bit, but more so in ministry and in life. And I know it was significant. For me, it was extremely significant because I knew that there was, that God had spoken over my life. And one of the verses that he had spoken was Jeremiah 29:11, which most of you here will know. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. I know the plans. And after that verse was spoken and things were going amazing in my life, things began to take a dramatic turn. Out of my control and totally unexpected. And I struggled with it. Struggled with changes that had taken place. Because I'm expecting, and the way it kind of started out was God was moving and all these things were happening. And I'm thinking, this is brilliant. We're going to go from strength to strength. And all of a sudden, it's like the carpet gets pulled out from under you. And I found myself in a place that I never dreamed that I would be. And my life overrun with things that I never expected to be overrun by. And not anything, I wasn't living a bad life, anything like that. But I was in a place where I'm thinking, this is not part of God's plan. Why did this all change? It was never anything that I had did. I'm like, God, I haven't done anything wrong. I've been faithfully serving you, and yet this still gets messed up. How is that possible? One of my main responses in the middle of it all, of the brokenness, of the hurt, of the pain, was worship. And a lot of times, I would be at the front of church. I would be at conferences at the front whenever appeals getting made. Even if it's getting made for salvation, I was up at the front, even though I'm saved. But I knew I had to make a move. My response has got to be to God. Yeah, there were those binge-eating moments, those late nights just sitting watching movies and eating crisps and chocolate, going, God, why me? But my main response was, I've got to worship God. I would find myself in absolute tears on occasions at the front of a conference, on my knees, sobbing my heart out, crying out to God, because I knew He was the only one that could deliver me. He was the only one that could sort this out. I was broken. But that was my response. What's your response going to be? And what I have learned now down through the years is that the harder something comes at me, then it's not the harder that I fight against that. It's the harder that I worship. It's the harder that I worship. It's the harder that I pursue Him. It's the harder that I seek after Him. Because I know that He is the answer. Any of the problems, any of the pain, any of the suffering, He is the answer. And I've got to know Him in the midst of the suffering and in the midst of the pain. Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you. It's taking place at the same time as Lamentations. Because Jeremiah is seeing the desolation of his city. This once amazing, beautiful city is now lying desolate. But God reminds him of the plans that He has for that city and for that nation. And I want to tell you today that God is working to a plan for your life. And that whatever has happened in your life has not taken God by surprise. You see, before there was ever sin, there was already a Savior. He was Christ crucified from before the foundations of the world. Before sin was ever committed in the garden, Jesus Christ was already the Son crucified. And before it ever happened in your life, God already had a plan and a purpose to do something with that, to do something through that. He's got a plan, church. He's working towards a plan. Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him? In the midst of the pain and the suffering and of it wasn't supposed to be this way, will you trust Him? Will you continue to pursue Him? Will you continue to be faithful to Him? Let's get rid of the junk. Let's get rid of the Facebook posts. Let's get rid of the crisps, the chocolate, the binge eating. You still have the odd packet here and there. Let's focus on God and let's pursue Him.